Don't ever start with that song.
We are Popcorn, Piss and Vinegar, giving you a raw take on movies, television, and pop culture. My name's Chris.
I'm Scott.
I'm JB4.
And guest today, a very, very excellent surprise visit from our friend Chad Lott over from Scary Thoughts. So,
Yo, what's happening?
Most awesome.
man, dude, I'm happy that this worked out.
Yeah, we were supposed to do a a Stranger Things 3 episode over the weekend, but we because I had to leave town, we didn't get to it. So you guys get the scoop.
Oh, excellent.
That's good. Cool stuff. Yeah. So I mean, let's jump right on in. Stranger Things, it's a phenomenon. I don't really think we need to go over any of the real background information.
People know who they are, but we are spoiling it, so
yeah,
be ready.
This is going to be a completely spoiled episode. So if you haven't seen Stranger Things, you can come back, revisit. If you don't give a shit, we'll kind of tell you what's going on. So I guess I'll kick it off. I found this season good and bad. I'll start with the good. You can't help but love the characters and the way they've developed. I'm even happy with the new characters that they've introduced into the season. Lucas's little sister is the shit.
Erica.
She's awesome. I also like Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's daughter, the Robin, the ice cream scooper.
That's who that was?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I liked her. I thought she was a great addition.
Yeah.
All the new characters are really good. The Billy character, is like Ace Merrill, and like the badass kid from Christine and the other asshole from My Science Project. I mean, he's like every 80s asshole like ever. I like that guy a lot. Just going on with the characters, they're all great. My problem with this is that what was a show that had a pretty great storyline that was kind of wrapped in 80s nostalgia. Now it's like the nostalgia is overblown and the story seems like it's kind of secondary to that. That was kind of a little bit of my issue with this season. The Russians in the mall was so fucking over the top. I mean, it was just like
But wasn't it that is very 80s?
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
My point with it is that it's a science fiction show that used to that kind of had like a bunch of use a Scary Thoughts term with a lot of intertextuality, but now it seems like it's a large, like basically 80s as fuck. We're gonna sit there and say, let's take the most ludicrous 80s shit and we'll make that the focus, and then kind of build everything around that. Like the stereotypical Russian. I mean, like I've sat there and the Russian guy who's interrogating him and all that. I'm like, this shit's right out of Rambo 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was. It seems like it was over tropey, I guess. But I'm not shitting on it. I loved it. There was a lot, man. I laughed out loud for a lot of stuff. My favorite character, Dustin, the kid with the missing teeth, who's dude. I mean, when they're trying to escape and Steve's like, "Run, get out of here! I'll never forget you." That kind of shit just made me laugh. It was so fucking funny.
That character's really just surprisingly well developed and has his own kind of mojo. And he was written to be just like this picked on fat nerd of it originally, and they just let him be this kind of weird singular character that's just great.
All the characters are great. The only character I find now is kind of second fiddle that's been pushed to the back now is Will Byer.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of the real main focus of the first 2 seasons. And now it's kind of like he's just kind of there. And I mean, I don't think it's bad. I think that they've kind of made it to where they can kind of develop other characters. He's still there.
Right.
He's still present. He's still useful to the storyline. I mean, it's just he's not. I kind of always felt that Mike Wheeler and Will Byer were the 2 main characters of the story.
Mm-hmm.
With 11 kind of being a like I guess that would be like your Han, Luke, and Leia basically is those 3.
Right.
But I mean, I think what it comes down to now is some of those other characters now have been kind of a little bit pushed to the back. Especially Will Byer. So
just to kind of say how good the writing is, at least I think the good that is on the show is that they're able to take those characters and still have little side stories that are just as interesting as the main story, and sometimes maybe even more interesting, because Steve and Dustin and I don't know what the other scoop, Robin,
Yeah.
their side story was just as interesting as the 11 storyline. Like all of the stories, even Nancy and John's, even their story was still interesting.
Yeah,
going along.
I honestly, on this show, there's no character that I dislike. I like all the characters. I think they're all good. I tell you who else I like too, man,
I
is
just meant-
Murray.
Yeah.
Murray Bald Eagle, the Russian,
Yeah.
the guy who's the conspiracy theorist. He's fucking hilarious, dude. I love that dude.
Yeah, he's actually in Fleabag, the Amazon show Fleabag, and he almost steals the screen every time he's on. He plays a really fucked up character on that, but he was great. Him and the Russian spy, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lexi.
Like they had some moments that sort of rose above the tropes.
Yeah, and that's
to me.
That's sort of my point. Is like all the stories still work. They all have their own little standalone.
Nothing felt wasted. 8 lean and mean episodes. No bullshit. No filler. Everything was tight, lean and mean. Everything was covered. I think there's some episodes of shows that you watch, some stuff feels like it's a lot of filler and goes on way too long when it doesn't have to, and kind of overstays its welcome. I didn't feel like that at all.
Even like
watching this
last
season.
in
It was
season
great.
season 2 we had that
whole punk rock excursion
yeah,
was
that
just
one-off that was
trash.
Yeah.
a disaster.
Pure shit. I'm glad
and
that they
placed wrong.
Well, I think the thing with it is that with it, especially with that deal, is that I think that they included that on purpose because they were like, well,
Right.
if we're going to do the 80s tropes,
Right,
let's
right.
make sure we do all of them.
Right.
So that, there you can get your class of 1999 and your Warriors and all that kind of shit,
Right.
from that. And yeah, just...
I mean, it's an interesting aesthetic decision to make the same narrative errors that were typical of 80s movies and television shows.
There were things that were
know?
like sort of weirdly like anachronistic about the punk rock stuff because there's all these like references to Grant Morrison's Invisibles, which wasn't out till much later anyway. I mean, I guess some of the comic book takes place in it, but the tone of that stuff was just so different than the tone of anything else in the season 1 or season 3 or most of season 2.
All right.
Yeah.
It stuck out.
Right.
Well, out of the 3 seasons that I've seen so far, I think season 1 is still the most superior one, just for the fact that it's so much.
Damn.
Whoa, holy shit! That's it.
It's Louisiana,
God disagrees.
So sorry, 11. So but yeah, but I think the thing with it, what I liked about that first season is that they took a lot of shit, like a lot of different stuff, like X-Men, D&D, comic books, they took even movies. It was kind of a little dash of everything to really kind of give this love letter to 80s pop culture, with a really cool story wrapped in. And now I think the thing with it is they're kind of like, it's exactly it. They're trying to kind of like expand upon 80s pop culture and tropes. And I think that I think the second season is the weakest season. I think this third one is better than the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's really my only thing. I kind of looked at it and I was like, Russians in the mall and all this shit. Some of the characters act a little bit different than how they've developed in the past couple of seasons, but you love the characters so much. I'd say really in particular is Winona Ryder's character, Joyce. Yeah, she's like kind of the Dee Wallace kind of shit is gone with her now, and now she's like the sidekick now. I kind of felt like that was kind of an interesting twist. I mean, it didn't feel unnatural, but it was kind of like I didn't really unexpected.
I was interested, not to get off too much on a political slant, but there are some people that are basically saying that David Harbour, the sheriff, I can't remember the character's name, but
Sheriff Hop, Jim Hop,
right?
Jim
That basically, he
Chief
engaged in like abusive behavior and he's getting castigated on the internet for that. And I'm like, he was just struggling with a lot of difficulties that
People are oversensitive pussies. Shut the fuck up.
Also, he's the alcoholic father of a teenage superpower girl.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know? I mean,
Fuck
it's like,
yeah.
like, good luck.
Right. Yeah. Like he's definitely not perfect, but I do like my narratives with some, built-in character flaws that need to be overcome or fall into one way or the other. But
I like how he's fatter. And
Yeah.
I like how
Hopper.
he's fatter, but he still has some kind of like muscle to him. And it makes me wonder that did he grow that mustache on purpose to match the Magnum PI shirt,
Oh, of course.
Of course,
right.
yeah.
I mean, when I was like, dude, when he put the shirt on.
it was a choice, I'll say that.
I was like,
Yeah.
is it Magnum PI or is it Chuckles from G.I. Joe? I can't figure
it's
out. But James
Magnum
Bond
PI.
stole that already in fucking in the James Bond stole that in Casino Royale, so it can't be Chuckles. you
Yeah,
know?
I don't want to move us to the end too prematurely, but after seeing the terrible Hellboy that he did, I have no doubt
wow.
that Chief Hopper's coming back. His agent must have
Oh.
been sucking 100 dicks to get him back on the show.
They already it isn't confirmed, but the thing with it is that people how are people this fucking savvy to look at this shit? His Instagram, he started when the show aired, every day he put up a new number on his Instagram every day. Well, somebody put all the numbers together and they made a telephone call. It is actually leads you to a message from Murray on a on the telephone. That is a message that he's leaving for Joyce, Winona Ryder's character, that says, hey, I've been looking and I found something. It's not good news or bad news, but it's something. That's the first thing. And also with those same numbers, if you cross them to longitude and latitude, it brings you to that place in Russia that was featured in the end credit
wow.
scene.
Okay.
So when they go in the end and they're like, never mind the American, which
Yeah,
is the
he's
closed
the
cell.
American.
That's him in there.
Well, also, like, they hit him with that Spielberg light right before
Yep.
he blows
Yeah.
up. I mean, come on. Let's get real here.
I'm wondering if he went through the crack and came out in the other end.
So-
That's kind of what I'm wondering.
There's one. That's actually one of my big beefs about this whole series is that the amount of time he spent staring at Winona Ryder, nodding at her to pull the keys. It seems like he could have traversed that distance and got on the other side of the glass.
Well, he has put on weight.
That's true. Yeah, and he just got finished exerting himself.
Yeah. Well, no, but when the thing got damaged, when he kicked the Russian guy into it, it was arcing on the sides to where he couldn't get around it. So
Right. Oh,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, that's visible in the,
So yeah,
in the
I didn't
show.
I didn't
all right.
know if he made it through the crack and the Russians find him because they have their own little door, or maybe the Russians captured him and took him away before
We'll
all
find
hell
out.
went down. Yeah, we'll find out.
I think that this thing's planned for 5 seasons, if
So-
I'm
Oh,
not
I heard
mistaken.
4, but
I heard 4 as well, and
Oh,
I also
okay.
heard when they were talking about 4, they were talking about, they made the comment of like, this family's never going to hang out in this city this whole time. At some point, they got to get the fuck out of Dodge. And I'm thinking,
Right.
that's the getting out. That's what's happening. And then at the end, they get the fuck out of Dodge. So it's like, oh well, maybe
so it'll
we
be like
are.
Poltergeist 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Or they'll come, like, so my kid's like, oh, what holiday you think they're going to come back to? Because they've already done Christmas and they've done Halloween, and now they're doing July 4th. I'm like, and she goes, it's Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, shit. How'd you know
Probably,
that?
yeah.
It's Thanksgiving.
And that makes
With
sense.
new family and all that, it makes
Well, you come
perfect
back
sense.
and they come back and they visit for Thanksgiving, and
right.
things go awry, and, I don't know.
I think it would be interesting if they actually crossed this show over with Glow, since it takes place in the same time period. You could have what's
Mark
her name?
Maron?
You could have what's her name's character play the Russian, the Russian
right.
spy, and yeah, you can cross it over that way. So
I think
I'm just fucking around.
And I mean, they know well more than we know, but I feel like the next trope is going to be the high school weird science, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club trope, to kind of, because they're older now. Those kids are already 16 as it is, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, and a lot of them are really,
can
a lot of them
play-
are really showing their age.
yeah,
I mean,
I didn't realize the Will kid was wearing a wig. I was like, holy shit, that kid's wearing a wig.
You're talking about
Oh,
Will, or
wow.
you're talking about Mike Wheeler's character, Finn Wolfhard?
No, Will.
Okay.
He's wearing a bowl wig.
Yeah, they did a good job of making their heads look like penises this season.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'll tell you, man, the '80s, Jesus, man, the gym socks pulled all the way up to the bottom of your knees and the camper shorts. Well, I remember those days.
So
do
I
I.
actually thought that Erica character was going to go a way different direction. I figured she was going to be this annoying character that would help him, but still hold the upper hand and like, rah, you know, kind of be a pain in the ass. And when they promised her the ice cream, I was like, there's the joke. They're going to get to the end. They're going to blow up the mall, and Steve's going to be like,
But
still got ice cream, and then, you know, she'd get the finger. But they ended up really developing her.
dude, I thought it was fucking hilarious that the character sits there and just basically says, look, I'm a big fan of free market capitalism.
Yeah. She was great.
And I fucking hate communism. I was like, that's so hilarious.
Yeah, I'm definitely in support of her hatred of communism. But there's something about like whenever you put a bunch of like political talking points in a kid's mouth, it always just reads as corny to me. It's like that little girl that they had doing AOC parodies. And now like the parents are like, oh, we have to come off the internet because of death threats. Like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
Yeah, but
isn't that very Michael P. Keaton of her?
Oh yeah,
Like that is
yeah.
80s all over.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought it was innocent enough. I didn't think it was like too overblown. I thought the kid was funny. It was some funny ass lines. I mean, she's obviously she's nerd smart.
Right.
At least
Right.
she's nerd smart and not quote unquote pop culture smart like Dustin is, you know. I like how Dustin just gives her the whole rundown on My Little Pony, which is just, you know, basically said, this is why you're a nerd, and lays it out. And she's like, you know, how do you know all that stuff? She's like, because I'm a nerd.
I'm a nerd.
So yeah, I thought that was really cool stuff.
Yeah, I thought that whole Scoop Troop like sequence, like their whole arc was probably to me the best arc of the whole season. It's just it had like just a Hardy Boys feel to it, and you know they're like cracking codes, and the Russian thing is just so bonkers. You know, like just the idea that they've built this facility underground. Like, how long does it take you to build a tunnel that's like long enough to freak you out? You know, into the into the floor.
Yeah, and how did they build? Because from what my understanding is that this series happens in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you know,
Every
they
year.
sit there and they're like, okay, well, look, you know, Stranger Things hasn't been out for a year and a half, so we're going to write the series to where it is 18 months later. So it's happening in real time. That was a pretty impressive facility to build in a year and a half. So,
But it's the 80s. All those facilities
yeah, well, of
were
course.
fast.
I mean, that's
right.
the whole thing. You know, it's all that bullshit.
That's why I was able, like, when they did the when they sing the song towards the end.
Oh yeah, the never-ending story.
Never-ending story song. At first, I
Yes.
was like, "This is terrible," and then as it
You kidding me?
progressed,
It's
I was
fucking
like,
great.
"Oh my god, this is the best thing ever!"
Oh, it
And
just wins you. Like it's so
Right.
cheating. Like when it started, I was like, "Man, what am I doing with my life? This
That's
is
right,
trash." And then that kid's he's a Broadway musician, or I guess it's not a musician. He's a
Vocalist,
singer. He's
yeah.
a vocalist on Broadway. And to me, it's just like a cool little way to showcase this weirdo's skills. You know, he's great.
And I liked how
on top of a disaster, like Hopper is trying to shut down the thing.
Yep. I was secretly hoping that one of the kids in the car got killed. I would have thought that would have been a
Wow.
bold choice with that creature running after it, you know, Jurassic Park style. If it had sort of like grazed the car and spun it out.
I didn't think any of the kids would get killed, and,
No,
and
they're not going to.
I'll be shocked if a lot of them. It was a lot of rumors flying around that the 11 character was going to die this season, but I never even thought that
No.
for a minute. So
I don't think
That's
that
why they
Godzilla
develop
movie
interesting
did.
side characters so they can kill them.
yeah,
you know?
what do y'all think about the coming off of season 2? What do y'all think about the Billy character?
Well, I love that actor. I think he's great.
Looks like Rob Lowe, kind of like Rob Lowe, Chad Lowe. He has that kind of same
Right.
features as they do.
Yeah, and you know, I think they made him like a pretty nasty character, which I thought was pretty cool. I just loved all the sequences at the pool with like all the thirsty moms, like totally after his ass. In season 2, I had the little, like, I guess it's not an Easter egg, but like the romance novel that she's holding has basically him on the cover. Just stuff like that, just super funny to me. They're weird, like being from California storyline was a little weird to me in the last one. It's like it didn't. They felt the most like dropped into the second season, than the most out of place characters in it. You know, because it's like what work is Max really doing in that crew? other than kind of replacing Eleven. So I'm glad to see her have that arc where she's like the friend that the boyfriend hates, in the third season. I thought that was cool to develop that character.
Yeah. I like I said, there's not a character that I dislike in the series. I like Billy. I like him. And I knew he wasn't going to fuck Mike Wheeler's mom. As soon as all that shit went down, I'm like, oh, they're going to make the date. And I've seen way too many 80s movies. This dude's going to get fucked and fucked hard. And sure enough, he did.
Well, here's, another unique 80s swerve that Stranger Things somehow pulls off that if it were anything else, I'd probably be like, that's stupid. But his act of self-sacrifice in the end, he's essentially been a pawn.
He got his Darth Vader moment, man.
Right, exactly.
He was the ultimate badass. And then you learn all of a sudden,
Right.
Billy, that name no longer has any meaning for me.
Right, exactly. It's
now I'm the Mind Flayer.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, he had his Darth Vader moment. He got his redemption.
Or the Martha moment, right? It's like, I understand that your parents were assholes.
Don't bring that up.
You do? All right, I'll sacrifice myself for you. Yeah, but that again isn't it's a Darth Vader thing.
I think he's one of the better actors in the series too. Like whenever he's being creepy, he doesn't blink, which is the Anthony Hopkins Silence of the Lambs trick. It just really, a little bit he blinks, but he has that open eye thing, and it just adds like a level of creep factor to that dude. And the car he has is perfect. It's like cheesy Guido necklace. Like it's just so well done.
He's got the molester stash. Where's his wife beater? Got his has his Camaro, and I didn't know this. This is kind of off the trail here, but the Wheeler dad, the boring dad, Mike's dad, that dude is the professor of theater at LSU.
No shit.
Did not know that. Yeah.
Wait, not Wheeler's dad.
Wheeler's dad.
Oh yeah, Wheeler's dad. Yeah.
The boring,
I didn't know that.
The boring dad. Yeah, he's the theater professor over at LSU. So local guy, pretty cool.
Man, I kept hoping Mike Wheeler would get killed. That dude is the worst.
Yeah, you don't like Mike Wheeler?
Yeah, he's just an annoying character. Like, what he reminds me of? He's like this particular brand of arrogant nerd that has become like the CEO of Silicon Valley, and it's just this type of dude that's just the worst.
But only this season, or did you not like him from the very first season?
This season in particular, the first couple seasons he didn't really grate on me. I found like that in general, almost across the board, the kids' acting was really bad this season.
Really,
but I feel like it played into like the homage to the films of the time, where every kid's like this Degrassi high level of overacting, and it played in pretty well. But like when they're arguing about girls with each other, it was real stiff to me, but in a way that like the Wonder Years was. It had like I was like, man, is this like a choice, because it wasn't so over the top in season one. I remember thinking like the kids were pretty credible in the first season.
These kids are great actors in that first season.
So do you think it was a choice?
I think so, because you see so many other elements in the third season that are like tuned up, like the outfits, for example.
Right.
Like the I would say the difference is in season one, it was very much of its time in the way that like E.T. looks like 1983 because it was filmed in 1983 and that stuff was going on. This one looks like the entertainment of the mid 80s.
Agreed.
And that's probably done on purpose. It probably is.
The show is so carefully rendered that I can't imagine that anything you're looking at isn't intentional.
I have to say, I was super impressed with the sort of John Carpenter / the Blob twist, where everyone, it's very visceral, where the rats were exploding and the
I like
detritus kind of.
I like the
became a
monsters,
monster.
and another thing too is what I like about the monsters is that it's not the Demogorgon over and over again. I like that they do different shit, but I like that even though it's different, it all has continuity.
Yeah.
I like that stuff. I mean,
I Possession, Walking Dead, I don't want to say it, but zombies. I mean, they open with. What is that? Dawn of the Dead,
well,
right?
See, it opens with Day of the Dead, which is a big hint. But one thing that I was thinking about, since I was in total 80s mode when I'm watching this, and I see all the like zombie people walking around, I'm like, dude, this shit reminds me of Night of the Creeps.
Right.
That's what I was thinking of. I'm like, the last thing I was thinking, because I guess the thing with it is that I've had Romero rammed up my ass for like the past 5 years now. It's like I'm over zombies. Even if I see anything zombie that's like not zombie, but they're kind of implying that I want to see other things automatically because I've had that rammed like down my throat and up my ass. For
Like
the past
Body
5 years.
Snatchers or Stepford, they really.
Night of the Comet is the one I'm
That's
thinking
it.
about. That's the
Okay.
one. Yeah, when I see the people walking around, I was like, oh, Night of the Comet. Kind of like these sentient zombies.
Yeah. But when they went to that basement and just became liquefied,
Dude, that was fucking awesome.
That was
When-
great,
yeah,
yeah.
when they send them out and like all right, you've done your bidding. Okay, now it'll collapse into slop and join the
Right.
collective again. I was
Yeah.
like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool. I like that.
I like that they haven't really walked out the mythology, the upside down world too much either.
Right.
Like it's still kind of in the dark, and it has like a real like Aliens 2 feel. Where it goes from, oh, there's one threat and it's fucking crazy, and now there's a whole shitload of threats and there's machine guns.
Right.
Right.
Well, I remember you saying after the first season came out, you wanted to see something that was kind of more like a paramilitary thing where they go in and they're like, hey, look, here comes the military and we're going to fuck these guys up. And you got a little bit of that element in season 2. Toward the end of the season, when everything went batshit crazy, before 11 kind of shuts everything down, you had Spec Force guys in there with machine guns and all that shit. But I find it's a lot more present in this season. I mean, there's a whole lot of shit that goes on, between Russian super agents and Hopper. I thought that was great when she goes to throw the gun to him and overthrows it and
Yeah,
basically
that's right.
drops it right in the
Man,
Russian.
there's 2 Hopper shooting moments that I just think are like Han Solo shooting under the table level character development that are great. One when he comes out of the elevator and just like ices 5 Russians with the machine gun with that that just Rambo side swing of the machine guns.
Yep.
Is great.
And no bullet holes in their costumes
No,
after they
it's
put
great.
them on.
Yeah.
No, there were.
There were.
Yeah.
There were
Because my
bullet
kid
holes.
pointed it out. It's like, why are there holes? I'm like, 'cause
They
got
weren't
shot.
soaked in blood as they
Right.
should have been.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
The other though is when he has the gun on the dude and he counts to 3 and he goes 1, 2, 3 and he pulls the trigger on 3. He's not fucking around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
like knocks it off. I was like, man, that's so awesome. He's
Well,
like ready to kill. And
Also in the House of Mirrors, he took with a gun. He shot this dude like 12 times.
That was some-
I mean,
That was some Conan the Destroyer
Yeah.
shit right there when he
was
was
like-
in the House of Mirrors. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, he was like.
awesome.
Well, I was thinking of Riggs when he was shooting that dude, and he said the name of each cop that died as he's like,
Yeah, speaking of rigs, I was totally waiting for the torture scene to somebody bust out like electricity at some point. Like, just
Yeah.
'cause it's so Rambo, so
Yeah.
lethal weapon.
Maybe next
Yeah.
season. Next season we'll get it when he's
I thought
caught
that
in
was.
Russia.
Yeah.
I thought when the guy that scene. I was telling Scott that earlier. See, when I watch things alone, it's very rare that things make me laugh. I kind of have to be in an infectious situation to really like laugh at shit out loud.
Right.
I'm kind of like just stoned when I watch stuff. I might give a little every now and again or something.
Yeah.
This shit had me laughing out loud. And the scene where the Russian guy is trying to go through the first like barrage of questioning against Steve, and when he finally just kind of looks at Steve and he just starts laughing, and Steve just
Right.
laughs along with him.
Right.
It's just some funny shit. He's like, I like this kid, juice him up. It's
Yeah.
like fucking hilarious, dude.
What did you guys think about the mayor? I thought the worst casting
Carrie Ellis.
was Carrie Ellis. Like, okay, so here's
I
the
didn't
thing with
even
him.
realize
I didn't realize it
him.
either.
So you don't realize it's him, right? And you have, okay, he's the Dread Pirate Roberts. Like, that's pretty much all he is. And
Or Robin Hood Men in Tights, depending
Yeah.
on when you were born. So
yeah,
right.
either way, like
Saw.
you have a fond association with him. And I thought when they used Sean Astin as like the kind of boyfriend role, and you know, like, look, man, there's fucking Goonies, or the Fruity
Hobbit
Ass
guy.
Samwise.
glad you brought that up because I was moving to that next. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
so like that character, like you have this like associated nostalgic happiness, and then with this character, like, oh, he's gonna be like this cool mayor. I almost expected him to be like the Rob Lowe character from Parks and Rec or something like that.
Right.
You're like,
Right.
oh yeah, but he's just like this. Anyone could have been that role. Like there was nothing
Yeah,
like
good
special
point.
about resurrecting this, thing from the '80s.
It kind of confused me a little bit, and this is something I don't like that they do in any movie. I found that the editor of the newspaper and Ella was playing the mayor. The characters looked so similar, and since they were newer characters, I kind of got confused to where I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh shit, the mind flare got to the mayor. Oh fuck, that's not the mayor, that's the newspaper guy. So with the salt and pepper hair and
Right.
all
Oh,
that
okay.
shit, yeah, that kind of threw me off a little bit. I hate when they do shit like that. I mean,
Oh, okay.
when you got two major assholes, like don't make them look the same. Kind of like differentiate them a little bit. You know, that's a little beef, but I mean that's just me being a bitch. So
I can tell them apart instantly, but that's only because it's Gary Busey's son, right?
No, not Jake Busey.
Jake Busey.
He's talking about.
I'm talking
the
about
actual,
the editor in chief, the one where he and his wife, like Billy goes to dinner with the other
okay.
lifeguard
All right.
and takes over the life. The female lifeguard, her name was Heather. Totally 80s name.
Oh, yeah.
Heather's parents, like her dad was the editor of the paper that kept
I know you're talking
kept
about.
busting Nancy Wheeler's balls. So
I guess I'm so familiar with Carrie Elway's look that I didn't get confused.
I didn't realize
I
it
didn't
was him.
realize it was him either. I was like,
Okay.
this guy looks familiar, and when I looked it up on the internet, I was like, holy shit, because I've seen him lately because he's in Psych, that TV show Psych on USA that used to come on.
Okay, yeah.
It ended like a few years back, but he was always a guest on there, and I was like, all right, so I've seen him lately, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
No idea.
Didn't realize he was old and gray. So
Yeah, man, Jake Busey looks so much like Gary Busey. He should be worried that his dad is going to like harvest his body and put his brain in it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so good. Those strong Busey genes are just working overtime.
Yeah.
he was great too. Played a perfect asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but he was good for a nice little bit part. I thought that was cool for him.
Yeah. He just I'd be interested to see him play a nice guy in something just because once I saw him in Contact, I was like forever haunted by his visage.
Right.
Like he's just got a creepy look about him and he can play it to the hilt. More so than his dad. His dad just plays crazy.
Every time I see him, I think of Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
That's
same.
the-
Yeah.
that's
True.
the thing I most kind of identify.
Forgot
with
he was
him.
in that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he plays the violin. In that.
so your Goonies reference.
Is it me?
It's
when
not.
anybody sits there and says, describe Stranger Things, like every fucking person except like people sitting in this room, they're always like, well, think of the Goonies. I'm like, dude, I don't even think of the Goonies. I don't understand where that comes from.
I agree and disagree with you. I agree, yes, I would never think of the Goonies first. I wouldn't say think of the Goonies, but it is, I mean, the Goonies, Stand By Me, all E.T., all of those 80s tropes are what
Yeah,
built
but-
that foundation for those kids.
I think the thing with the Goonies movie is that the Goonies, what I associate it with is kind of being like a dumbass kids movie.
Oh, well,
And
okay.
this is kind of like more of a coming of age, even though it's a sci-fi movie and there's a lot of like pop culture, references and all of these different 80s tropes in it and stuff. I still think of it more of a coming to age. The first movie I think of thinking these kids is Stand By Me.
All right.
And then after that, it would be the Dirt Bike Kids from E.T. That's about the only Spielberg. I think more Stephen King and John Carpenter than I do than Richard Donner and Steven Spielberg. I mean,
I think it's a perfect hybrid, really. I mean, there's a very Goonies-esque quality to the way the kids engage, especially pursuant to what Chad said about how they almost overact and they get sort of like unnecessarily histrionic over little shit and have like these ridiculous conversations, and that's most of Goonies. I remember when I saw Goonies, I was like, "This is stupid."
Man,
Especially when
I
Short
love
Round,
Goonies.
well, when
I can't
Short
help
Round
it.
fired the dentures, I was just like, "That's fucking dumb."
well, I
I
think
remember when I
that-
saw that as a kid.
but I think that's the thing with the Goonies is that it's so like in that movie, I never like ever felt those kids were in danger.
Right.
Like I'm like these kids
Not
are
even
just
with
on
the
a,
breakdancing octopus.
yeah, these kids are like on a grand quest, and everything's gonna be cool, and they're gonna save their town and all that shit. This show here, man, I mean, there's a lot of jump scares, there's a lot of scary shit that happens in this
Sure,
in this
yeah.
show, and I'm like, there's a lot of times where I think that these kids are gonna be in danger, even though they're really not gonna die.
But back to what you had said earlier, as far as people like, oh, they're not going to kill off a character. That's very an un-80s. That's not an 80s trope. Killing off a kid character, part of the gang. Like they just don't. I don't remember any movies that they did that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen until recently. Like that's something that Mark used to talk about a lot until we started seeing it in all these movies. Is that like he used to never kill kids and dogs? Like you just never saw that.
The only kids that ever died were the ones that did wrong shit. Like
Right.
if you were
And
watching a
It.
horror movie, if you were
Right.
watching a horror movie and somebody was fucking and they shouldn't have been doing it, by the
Well,
moral
yeah,
standards, they
that's-
were going down.
Yeah, you better not
You
break
know?
out those titties.
Yeah. Dead.
One of the,
Right.
I think one of the big differences between Goonies and probably any of the other franchises we're talking about is Goonies isn't supernatural. There's not like a horror element. There's not an
Right.
alien element. It's just some. It has more to do with Scooby Doo than anything else, you
Right.
know, except for Mystery Incorporated, which gets super weird and supernatural and is great. But yeah. But I totally agree with the E.T. thing, man. Like it to me, that's the first, especially because in E.T. the movie opens with them playing D&D, and Stranger Things opens playing
Yeah.
D&D.
Yeah, there's a lot of reference
All on
in the-
purpose,
in the
though.
first season. I mean, like when you sit there and Ella's like hiding in Mike's basement, like you're sitting there like Jesus. It's like I'm watching E.T. all over again.
The wig.
Right.
Yeah, and also the what do you call it? the Cerebro radio antenna from Dustin. I was like, oh well, there. It's just you just
phoning
forgot
home.
you
Right.
forgot to hook up a speak and spell to it. That's basically it. you
What's
know?
the first time you guys saw a kid die in a movie that you were like, holy fuck, I did not see
I
that coming?
cannot think
I don't know.
of the movie. It was a horror movie that came out in the 80s, and for the life of me, I've been trying to figure out for years this movie. But what it was is that people, I want to say it was a movie called Life Force, I think is what it was.
Okay.
Like what would happen is that people would basically melt into these blue globes, and the blue globe would like fly off, and there was a little kid who like basically like something touched him, and he like basically imploded, and turned
okay.
into this blue globe, and that freaked the fuck out of me when I was a kid. I was like, holy shit, I cannot for the life of me think of that movie.
I was going to say Schindler's List, but I think that's a little bit later.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and I take it back. You see one of the little kids. It wasn't a main character, but it was a little kid that lived in the wherever they are, the town that they're in is turns into a blob at the end of Stranger Things. Like there is a little kid
yeah.
that,
I mean, a few kids get
Right,
iced
so
in
they-
that scene, and then there's the girl in the very first season that was
Barb.
Oh yeah, Barb.
But that's
Yeah, but Barb's a
She's a teenager, old enough to
Yeah.
fuck, old enough to die.
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
she
talking about
didn't even
small-
whip the
talking about
titties
small
out.
children. Yeah.
She
which
didn't
is
even
why
have
I
a
wouldn't.
chance, you know?
Yeah, like I wouldn't get it past John or Nancy going away because they're both of age now.
Well, the first time I ever saw a kid die that genuinely stunned me was Mimic. Do you remember Mimic, that
Oh,
kid
that's-
in the
I
subway?
do.
Oh, that's the one
Because
with
he was sort of a rambunctious kid. Like, I thought he was going to be the one to tell the scientists, yeah, there's a life-size cockroach in the subways, and he got tangled up and iced. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, that was
Did I just see?
Mina Sorvino was in that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like an early one, but like right around the time we were breaking out like our like kids don't die in horror movies theory,
Mm-hmm.
Trick or Treat comes along and offs a whole busload of kids.
Yeah, right.
I watched that not too long ago. It was
It's really
good.
solid, man.
Yeah.
I thought it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like
No.
the descriptions.
Halloween 3.
Oh yeah.
At the
Yeah,
end,
oh,
they
yeah.
do, that's one of my
Yeah,
favorite
that's
things about that
right.
movie. They just like we're gonna
Yeah.
do it anyway.
Halloween 3 with the mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
When all the
What
kids.
a weird movie.
That was a strange movie.
Like, just everything about that whole
Yeah.
story is
It
just
should have been
bizarre.
named. It should have been named Halloween in name only. That's what it
Yeah,
should have been.
more or less.
And what was it? What was it? The title? Season of the
Season
Witch.
of the Witch.
Yeah,
Season of
was
the
the
Witch.
title on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys know about that whole theory about how 80s music is tuned with a lot of treble because there's a lot of cocaine in the 80s and cocaine makes treble feel really good in your ears and it sounds really
never
good.
That
heard
would not
that.
surprise me
Yeah.
at all.
That makes sense.
I feel like that explains the third in any franchise of the 80s, the third movie. It's just like the third movie always goes completely off the rails. I mean, like Nightmare on Elm Street Dream
Yeah,
Warrior,
which is
number 3,
fucking great.
I love it.
totally absurd,
Yes.
like so wild and weird.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street 3. I had a buddy of mine I went to grammar school with, and I would always tell him about these horror movies that I would watch and all. And he was like always kind of like too scared to watch them. And I told him, I was like, dude, you got to watch Dream Warriors, Freddy Krueger. He's like, oh, like, dude, it's a fucking action movie. It's not even a horror movie.
Right.
Xanadu is the third movie in a trilogy where they just skip the first two and just made the third one. That's like a movie completely produced by cocaine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is when I saw it, I was like, who the fuck is this Gene Kelly loser? Get him out of there. Now I'm like, he's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
It's surreal.
The soundtrack is the best part.
Oh yeah, without question.
That
It's an
fucking-
outstanding soundtrack. And someone just did like one too many bumps and was like, let's make a movie about this.
Do it.
So where did you read about this theory? The cocaine.
You know, I actually heard it. Reggie Watts was on Joe Rogan's show not long ago, maybe a few episodes back, and he was talking about it on his show. But I'd heard it. Mark had told me about it a long time ago because he's a super. Mark's the co-host of my show. If anybody doesn't know it, and he, you know, he's an audio fanatic.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
and he had been breaking down like all this weird shit. Like he was telling me that like in the last few years there had been no new sounds that the human ear has heard. Like,
Yeah, I remember him mentioning
yeah,
that
it's just
on the
interesting
show.
stuff, you know. Yeah, just bring weird stuff into the knowledge pool, I guess. But it just made me wonder about how many artistic decisions in films and music of that time were made because of that, and it has to be a lot.
None of that surprises me at all. I mean, and the shit now. I mean, it's so. Now with technology, that aids it even more. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you have basically beyond the whole thing of the maybe these kind of little artistic things, but I mean now you have your own free market research, you know, on social media. A friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, a guy by the name of Chad Gilmore, he plays drums with a local artist named Mark Broussard. And I remember Chad telling me a story. He was like, you know, I was like, dude, how do they like pick singles, you know, like record companies when they sign you guys? And he's like, well, the way they do it is they pop the disc into a computer and they have an algorithm that they run, which is basically the most appealing thing to the ear. And whatever song on your album hits that algorithm, which is the one, that's what they release. That's what they base it on. So he's like the fucking A&R, you know, falling in, you know, stumbling through the dark, you know, hoping that you kind of pick an awesome single. You know, those days are long gone.
I got
Long
into
gone.
civil debate with someone on Twitter about the quality of soundtracks. I feel like more recently the idea of a theme or a melody that you associate with characters and stuff is getting sort of abandoned for this sort of algorithmic mood music.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I thought like the Stranger Things music in the first season, especially the opening soundtrack, is so badass. You're like, oh man, it just puts you right into the vibe of the show. But the whole series, or at least the second and third season, don't have like powerful like music as a character. Like the soundtrack of the Goonies, for example. Like they're in Star Wars. You know, there are these hooks that indicate
Star Wars
characters.
and Indiana Jones are the ones that I think of the most. I mean, John Williams walks in there and he watches the movie and he establishes themes. And like Jedi characters get this song, Han Solo gets this song, Princess Leia gets this song. And if there's things that are happening, he basically uses insinuation of his themes as to what's going on and what you're going to see. That's why that dude's the fucking master.
But even in horror movies,
Oh yeah, oh
you know, The Exorcist,
Sure.
you know, Jason.
So wait,
And-
are you saying that in seasons 2 and 3 they didn't revisit that, or you're saying?
So what they do instead is they have like songs of the era that cue moments,
Right.
Which is different than a score to me. And I
Correct.
think what they're doing is really effective. Like, you know, like when Billy comes on and there's music playing, like it's funny. It's just not the same as a score. And to me, a score is like more of it. I mean, I don't want to say it creates more of an emotion, but whenever you throw up a song that you recognize that has like punch, it calls attention to itself a little bit more than pushing whatever's happening with the characters forward. I mean, and I don't mind either. It's just it's something that I'm surprised they don't do more of in the show.
Yeah, like Michael Gianciano, or I can't pronounce his last name, but he's super busy. Right. Anything JJ puts his name to. And he did the Star Trek theme is the most memorable.
That
recent
Star
score.
Trek, that new Star Trek movie, the Chris Pine Star Trek, Kirk. That the soundtrack for the first movie is fantastic.
But
it's really good.
Check this. Then I listened to the Doctor Strange soundtrack, and it's the same fucking chord progression.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like it's weird that he's recycling himself. You know. Like,
and so again, super Lost fan. But I can go back and I can go and watch when he does shows, when he does TV shows, or when he does movies. I can pick it out. I can instantly his chord progressions go to a specific thing, and immediately I'm like, oh, I know who that is. And then I'll look it up on IMDb. Sure as shit, he did that, or
guy.
he did this, or he did this.
He did Spider-Man recently.
He did. Back to the soundtrack, though. I think so many people have copied that Stranger Things thing that it's hard for them to develop any. I mean, granted, season 1 is season 1, but like for season 2 and season 3, so many people instantly just grabbed it and copied it for their little TV show or their movie or their.
It's in so many YouTube videos.
But
like
I'm saying, like,
same feel.
Right, and even Thor 3 has that feel. Like you can hear that progression going through the movie, and so I feel like they kind of couldn't really build upon it in the next 2 seasons because people already bit it. They were already doing it.
Yeah, and you guys are musicians, so you'd know better than I would. But I imagine that sort of like really distinct arpeggiated thing is difficult to like weave into pieces.
Well, I think all this music is written in 4/4, and I think it's an easy adaptable thing. I think that Survive did a very effective job in season 1, like you're saying, and I think that what we're talking about right now drives the point even more. That this 3rd season, like I felt, that's exactly what it is. I'm like, man, this is like I went from 80s backdrop to 80s explosion.
Correct.
And I felt even more so with those song selections coming in there like that. I'm like, well, fuck, I was almost like Guardians of the Galaxy, but I would say to relate it to a horror movie, I would say would be Devil's Rejects. That uses a lot of that period music. Like the whole thing is pretty much a rock soundtrack.
Yeah, or I mean, the worst offender, Quentin Tarantino. I mean, not offender. I mean, I love this shit. Like Quentin Tarantino has no music made for his films. Pretty much, there might be a few pieces here and there, but I mean, he talks about how. I've seen him talk in interviews where he's like, "Look, I write these scenes with songs in mind, and I go buy those songs." And I feel like, at least in his case, the music is so much a part of his process of development that it has it adds to the auteurness of it.
It does,
which is pretty cool. And you wonder like what time what's with budgets. You have 8 episodes of this thing on Netflix, and they're not exactly flush with cash these days. So like, what can they and can't they get song wise?
Right, and that's got to replay over and over and over.
That's right. Yeah,
and I noticed. I did notice that they picked, they did choose the popular songs at the time, but they didn't do it for the whole season. They kind of hit it hard in the beginning, and then as you noticed, like when you got to 5, 6, 7, 8, they weren't really going back to those songs. They were just kind of doing whatever.
I have a TV show to recommend strictly on the soundtrack. It's called Deadly Class. It is one of the most batshit shows I've seen.
My wife watched it. She loved it. It canceled it, actually,
not
unfortunately.
Good,
yeah.
But the soundtrack is outstanding. I don't know how they got the licensing for half the shit they use in it, but
maybe because it got canceled.
it's good. Well, I mean,
Probably
it's a nuts show. It's crazy.
Who owns Sci-Fi? Is it Paramount? What major
NBC?
company owns them?
NBC, right? It's
So Universal? Right?
So Universal, whatever Universal has
Music.
music, yeah. I mean, they probably just pluck that, and it's easy.
well,
for
they
them
bought a bunch of punk labels then.
Yeah, there's no
all
telling
kinds
who
of,
owns it. Yeah,
Right.
Man, I haven't watched the show, but somehow I stumbled upon listening to the soundtrack at work. But the Umbrella Academy soundtrack is good.
It's a good show.
It is.
And it is a good soundtrack too, but it's a good show.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like that dude that wrote that, like the guy in My Chemical Romance, dude, hardcore nerd, man. Like, and he came strong with that story.
You are listening to Popcorn, Piss, and Vinegar.
Television.
movies.
Pop culture.
Keep up with the latest news from Luke Skywalker all the way to Batman.
From Netflix to the CW.
And all the news in between.
Please subscribe and rate us on iTunes.
Or stream our episodes from PPVGuys.com.
You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at PPVGuys.
Check out our friends Not Real Radio at notrealradio.com for our segment Not Real Movie News.
Should you listen to more? Yes. Will you agree? Maybe.
Jury's out.
Indeed.
Thank you for listening.
And action.
What do you feel about this Sandman show that's coming to Netflix? You think they're gonna do it justice?
I cannot wait to be thoroughly disappointed. I mean, anytime you're dealing with something that is so wild and dreamlike, and it's not hugely budgeted, I get a little worried.
I don't see how they have the money to pull that show off properly. I really
do.
don't.
I do. I mean, I think they can. That doesn't mean they will.
I mean, how wacky is the imagery? I'm not. I mean, I've only really seen snippets of it. I've never seen it as an entire body of work. I mean, is the visuals in it like? I mean, when you're walking into the dream realms, I mean, is it all kinds of insane and shit? And I'm sure
can
it
be.
is.
It
huh?
depends on the
Have you
narrative.
read the comic or no?
No, I haven't.
So my wife bought me the whole series of the comic and
The omnibus?
Yeah, for my 40th birthday. It's like one of the best presents I've ever gotten.
Yeah,
It's
I was
just so
insanely
awesome.
jealous.
And I hadn't read it since the series ended in the late 90s.
Wow.
And it's great. And it's the only comic book series that I would legitimately put up against like an actual like literary canon.
Right.
It's so good.
Agreed.
The artwork is so great. The storylines are interesting. There are threads from the very first issue that carry on to the very end, and it's incredible. And if you're like an English lit nerd, it's just jam packed with rad shit. And I think that might be one of the things that kind of hurts it as a TV show. Whereas like Stranger Things, it has decades of badass American TV to pull from, and those dudes are artists, and they're more than artists; they're curators, and to me, Stranger Things and what they're doing reminds me more of fashion than anything else, where you're like developing this new
great.
line that references like, late 70s Galliano line and just reimagines it for now. Like that's what they're doing. But like the Sandman comic is so literary and people don't read. So,
I think
Right.
that's one, and that was always the big argument from Alan Moore with Watchmen.
Yeah.
Is the fact that he's like, man, what I've done here, he's like, you could argue to the hilt, but what I've done here, you can't recreate in film, and it really is the truth. I mean, Zack Snyder's Watchmen movie, I think, is probably the closest you could hit it to try to adapt that graphic novel. But the thing with it is, man, there's so much like those in between stories that may not seem like it's a big deal. Like somebody, it's the Night Owl character. Like they print the article that he got inspired from to become Night Owl.
yeah.
And it's just like a article. It's just a general article that he read, like in a Reader's Digest. You can't capture that kind of shit in a movie.
And there's weird shit in Watchmen too. Like there's like the symmetrical, the symmetrical issue where the middle page is like mirrored. The gatefold page of the comic is mirrored to the left and right, and then you realize the entire story is like that through the whole comic. It's just genius, and
Right.
it's made with all this occult symbolism. It just never made it to the movie. But I will say Zack Snyder's opening credit sequence to that movie is gorgeous.
It's fantastic. I think that a lot of guys shit on him. A lot of people shit on him, and deservedly so. I mean, he's a great visualist. He's just not
Yeah.
a good story guy. But
It's all about the moments.
But I have to admit, I really enjoy Watchmen, and I revisit it. I revisit maybe every couple of years or so. I have that mega edition that integrates the comic issue, the Gerard
Right.
Butler short into it and everything. I'll revisit that. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I need like 3.5 hours to kill because I'm sitting here doing whatever. I'll pop it on in the background.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'm a big enough Alan Moore fan to have suffered through both of his novels, and and I still like the Watchmen movie. Like, I think Rorschach is really well done in the opening sequence, and then just the kind of sadness of the owl dude is, I think, pretty good. But that actor's so great.
Yeah.
He
Oh
is,
yeah.
and I think he's miscast because he's too young in that, but he's a great actor. Did you see Stretch?
No.
Watch Stretch. It's fucking great.
What's that actor's name?
Patrick something.
Patrick something. That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Patrick
Patrick
Conjuring.
something. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in The Conjuring. I mean, he's been in a bunch of just little bit shit, and I mean, really good. The Watchmen, I think the casting was pretty good. I'm actually curious to see this HBO sequel that they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Is Alan Moore involved in that at all?
Alan
or-
Moore refuses to be involved in anything to do with Hollywood, and anytime they ask him anything, he basically is a grumpy prick.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, fuck off. I don't even want to talk about it. Like Zack Snyder said in an interview, he said, I would hope someday that Alan Moore just kind of gets over stuff to watch my movie to see if I at least did the material any kind of justice.
You know
And
what-
that got back to Alan Moore, and he was like, yeah, don't count on it.
You know what Alan Moore is? He's Black Magic Ignatius Riley from like, because he lives in the same town he grew up. He won't leave it. He has these just like highfalutin ideals about all this crazy shit that he doesn't want to ever give up on, and he's just committed and he's weird.
Yeah, he is a weird motherfucker, but he's a genius. I mean, dude, that first run of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that first run of that comic was fucking awesome. I mean, really good. He's written a lot of ingenious shit. But yeah, I mean, he's a fucking wackadoodle.
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick
Thank
Wilson.
you. Yes.
There you
Coming
go.
strong with the research.
That's what I'm here for.
But dude, that fucking that Watchmen series. I mean, your boy from Lost, he's doing that.
Yep.
Damon Lindelof, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says that this is not anything to do with Zack Snyder's movie. He said this is a direct sequel to the comics. He said, now I'm going to use some of the Snyder imagery because people have seen the movie. He said, I'll kind of adopt some of that imagery, but the source material. I mean, dude, you got Matthew Good cast as Ozymandias, and now you're going to get Jeremy Irons to play an older version of him. I mean, that's like perfect.
It is.
I mean,
that is good.
That's like seamless, you know.
I'm gonna confess, I'm not gonna watch it from day one.
I will.
I'm gonna keep my finger on the pulse.
I'll
of
watch
you
the
guys.
first episode. If it's good, I'll keep going. If I lose interest, I will lose interest the whole way. You're gonna have to come back and tell me it's good.
I don't doubt it.
What do you guys think about 11 losing her powers, or even how she deals with her powers in this season?
I think this is some Spider-Man 2 shit. I think that basically, I have a backache and I'm associating my back pain with, loss of shit or loss of control of my life and trying to figure out what's going on, and those powers will, it's basically going to be like Spock dying in Wrath of Khan,
Or Superman
Next season that shit'll be right back.
Well, I mean, she essentially loses everything at the end of this season. Everything. She has to move.
Right.
She loses her dad, not dad. She loses her boyfriend. Like, everything
Good
is
riddance.
gone. So it only makes sense.
I'm sure she'll in the 11th hour
Hey,
stop
watch
something.
it.
See, I'm curious. I mean, and it brings up that point. I mean, I would hope, but I doubt that it'll happen. But I would like to see what exactly that character evolves into without powers.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't know if that show is smart enough to. I think at this point it's kind of wrapped up in its own bullshit. To
really, in this season, she uses her powers, but there's not a big showdown.
For hijinks, she uses her powers.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it could be really. We could go a whole season and not have the hijinks and not have the big. She does the big battles, but.
Yeah, it's interesting. To think about having that type of power. Like in philosophy, there's that ring of Gyges thought thing where it's with the ring from Lord of the Rings is based on. It's like, okay, if you had the power to be invisible, what moral thing would you do with it? And pretty much no one can come up with anything that's good.
Right.
And I feel like, there wouldn't be a cop car that wasn't on fire in Louisiana if I had those powers.
Oh, yeah, fuck. That's like I tell people all the time. What would happen if lightsabers were real? I don't know nothing. I'd chop my car in half just because I
Right.
could.
You might
Let's
have-
see what it does. I wonder how long it will take me to cut my car in half.
Oh.
How long will it take me to cut my house in half? It would be what it is. I mean,
How many times though can she have a nosebleed and not? Is that not a health issue?
how can you build a Russian super facility in a year and a half?
I'm just based on the power, losing the power.
So
thing.
check out the foreshadowing possibilities here. There's a scene where they go, "You don't want her to keep doing that. What if she gets a tumor?" Right? So what if she ends up now? So this is where I think, okay, this is speculation where I think it's going to go. So they lay the idea of that in this season where okay, what if she gets a tumor? Okay, powers go away, maybe they come back or whatever. What if they come back with conditions and she's like Spawn and she can only do so much until she's dead?
Correct.
And that's how she goes out.
I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would be neat, but I don't know. I agree. I kind of agree with Mark on this one, even though he's not here. He's here in spirit. I don't see him killing kids, man, especially these kids. I guess if any of them were to die, it would be her as the sacrificial lamb, so to speak.
Right.
But I just don't see it. As long as they don't kill Steve, pretty much everybody's up on a
but
table.
Here's the other thing about it, right? Okay, we know that her character from season 1 is sort of references the Dark Phoenix because they they
Right.
bring that up. So what if she turns? What if she becomes like this evil character?
Yeah, but I think that they kind of did that in the second season, though, didn't they? With the whole
she just puts
punk
her
rock
bad girl
thing.
pants on. That's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's coming of age. That's not straight up.
She's in with the wrong crowd.
Right.
Bunch of
I don't know. I don't know about the heel turn. I mean, at the end of this season, she's sort of
Or if she's ET, she maybe dies and then comes back to
But
life.
I guess in a way it
I
could.
don't know. I don't think they're killing kids.
I think you got something
I
there,
think-
though, Chad, because
They may bait and switch that, though. They may think they killed the kid.
I think you have something there, man. Really, because think of the villains. The first villain in the first season was kind of like Matthew Modine, and then I wouldn't really consider the Demogorgon a villain. It's just a fucking thing that you awakened, and it's out there doing Demogorgy shit. It's out there just eating and doing what it needs to do. I'd say Matthew Modine, he's the real villain. In the second season, you're kind of led to believe it's Paul Reiser. And all that shit, and you have kind of like another governmental thing fucking with things they don't understand. Now in this third one, it's the kooky Russians, So I mean, I guess the kooky Russians will continue into season 4. But I mean, what a better, more effective villain to have than one of your own?
Yeah.
And 11 would be pretty interesting.
The only reason I say no to that is because of the fan base that she has as an actress.
Exhibit A, Daenerys Targaryen.
I know,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
you're talking about like with Thrones, it's us. With this show, it's like my kid. It's kids.
I
You know,
think it's us too. It's us
It
too.
is
'cause
us
it's
too,
Our,
but-
it's our generation, man. This shit is made for us to watch with our teenage kids.
I think it's beyond that at this point. I think in the first one, sure, definitely. Second one, maybe. It's got a brand new pair of pants on.
Yeah. Where do you guys think the scale is going to go? Like for example, in Marvel, like once you go cosmic, you can't go back, right? Like once space is a factor, it's on. Like now, like it's international. Like where do you think there's aliens?
No, I think it's a interdimensional thing. But the thing with it is that they're going to make the cardinal fuck up and try to like define what exactly the upside down is. I hope they never do that.
Right.
Hope they never do that.
I mean, they've clearly watched The Thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
hopefully, hopefully they learned.
Well, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that the way this thing end caps is look, we see a lot of crazy shit, and you fuckers have to come to grips with the fact that you cannot control this shit. So you have to shut it down. We've experienced it. We see what it is. We've seen enough of what it is. It's probably best that we don't know more.
Well, I mean, as a parable for the Cold War, you could say the same thing about nuclear warheads, right? Like, there's no equation where someone successfully uses this as a deterrent even, yet the other side's doing it, so I'd rather we have the ability to do it. Because at the end of season 2, I feel like Paul Reiser was like, we're closing the door on this thing. It's done. And the fact that the Russians are now fucking with it,
I bring the whole thing from Lex
scab
Luthor
picks
and
the whole
Lex Luthor
issue.
and Superman 4, which is a horrible movie, but he's
Right.
great. He's like, nobody wants a war. I just want to keep the threat alive.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
The whole thing. So
This show ends in the way every 80s show ends, with the smallest of cliffhangers. It's the smallest little enticement, but never anything to go, we're coming back. No, this is really the end.
I'm
But
seeing the Flash Gordon thing here, to where basically
It's
the end,
correct.
question mark, and then it's.
Oh
over.
yeah. I mean, 'cause, there's so many possibilities. Like, okay, could they go Walking Dead style? Like, this is a node. They said this is the best node, but they didn't say it's the only node. So imagine downtown LA Repo Man Stranger Things. Like, how cool that would be. Like, I mean, I'd like that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be fucking wild. Really, really sad that Harry Dean Stanton is no longer with us.
What if they go Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
And the Upside Down just they just fucking open it to the
Right.
point where they can't close
they
it.
can't close it. It's done.
You know what I'm shocked they haven't made is like an augmented reality app for your phone where you can look around and it turns your surroundings into upside down.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that actually does shock me that they've not created that. So, yeah, hold it up to your closet and there's a big riff. Oh fuck!
I mean, you can even see it being like a Pokemon type of game. You got to go around
Absolutely.
and catch Demogorgons or whatever.
Well, they have
I'm
that.
not playing this episode. This episode will never be released till that game comes out. Just saying.
Yeah, they got a horror movie. They have a horror movie app that allows you to do that kind of play.
Yeah, there's a Harry Potter app. Same thing.
Harry
Wait,
Potter,
how is the horror
Ghostbusters.
movie when you put it on and you start having sex and something comes to kill you?
There you go.
You walk around your house. I think it's like
a ghost-
story
yeah.
type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you got the Ghostbusters one and the Pokemon one kicked it off. But I think a Stranger Things one would be really, really awesome.
If you
would
could
be.
off one Stranger Things character, who would it be and how would you do it?
Do I need a reason?
No, this is. I mean, you don't have to justify yourself. Just who they are, how they die, final exit style.
My reasoning, I will give him my reason. It's Steve, only because he's probably one of my favorite characters on the show, and he dies a hero.
Oh, good. How does he die?
How does he die? A hero, saving somebody, probably Dustin.
I would actually kill John Byers not just because he's my namesake, but also because he's been broken by, like, he's in a permanent state of arrested development. He's essentially walking PTSD, and I feel like
about the older brother,
the younger brother.
Will Byer.
Oh, that's Will.
Jonathan
okay,
Byers
John is the older.
brother.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I flipped him around. Will Byers would be the one I'd have killed because he's a lot like Frodo. You know, like he goes on this adventure, but he's broken. Like he's never going to be a normal person.
For me, it would be 11. I'd kill off 11, and the reason I'd do that is exactly it. It would be pretty much the X2 X United ending, to where I would have it to where the powers. What I would actually do is that I'd make it to where she uses her powers, and as an ability, she finds some kind of untapped power that she didn't have before. And what it essentially does is that it creates all of these crazy rifts in the fabrics of reality. And then what happens is that there's not only upside downs, but there's perhaps other things that you didn't know about that rips into these other dimensions. Yeah, sideways. For nerds like Chad and I that were paper and pencil role players, kind of similar to like the Umbra and things like that from the Werewolf RPG. I'd look at some things like that to where you kind of like rip holes in these different dimensions, kind of like the planar gates from D&D and things like that. That's so built into that story already. I think that it would be something that would be like Planescape, and 11 dissipates and blows up to open up all that shit.
Or
that's what I would do.
Or that's how you get rid of the upside down, is when she dies, she takes it with her.
No, I wouldn't get rid of the upside down. I would have it to where, yeah, she might close down the upside down, but the thing with it is that it opens up whole new realms of different possibilities. That's what I would do.
Yeah, if she did that, I'd want it to somehow dovetail with Evil Dead and have some kind of Ash crossover.
That'd be pretty fucking awesome. What about you?
Yeah, well, I would also kill 11. Mainly because I think those like Messiah characters never die. I mean, like they totally pussied out with Harry Potter. They should have offed his ass, and it fits more with like an older archetype story.
Hey, they killed Luke Skywalker.
Or or it'd be cool to like have her die and become like the queen of like the upside down underworld or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, going more into the Dark Phoenix.
Either
thing.
that or I'd have their teacher blow his dick off with an experiment in his garage.
How fucking funny was it to see Weird Al playing what he's doing?
That is great.
I mean, I think one of the things that this series does so well is break the tension while simultaneously advancing the story. Like all those goofy scenes, they're never throwaway, and it's such smart writing. Like even the scene in the second season when Billy goes to the mom's house, like it sets something else up. There's like this weird seduction, and it's definitely weird, but it always makes a difference in what happens, which I think is just super smart.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, shit on it what you will, but I mean these guys. It's like I said, that's the only thing. It's just kind of like bonkers, but you love the characters so much, and they set up everything so well. I can't even be mad at the fact that it's bonkers.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Weird Al for like going full capitalist and re-releasing that T-shirt on his website. So
nice. Did he really?
Yeah, I'm for sure buying it. Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome. So, we got anything to add on Stranger Things season 3?
No. I feel like I've thoroughly covered it.
Yeah. I think we've did a good thing here. We've done a good service to our podcasting man. So there it is.
I mean, are you and Mark still going to look into it, or?
Yeah, we might. We actually have like kind of a weird backlog of shows. We got this dude named Adisa Banjoko, who's a jiu-jitsu and hip-hop scholar. He's going to come on, and he's going to do an episode about horrorcore and rap music with us.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be pretty badass. He has a great podcast called Bishop Chronicles, which I really like a lot. we got.
Are y'all going to do stuff on Tales from the Hood? When that?
Well, so we're probably the plan for that episode. Like, we're just gonna let it happen. Usually when we have a guest, we don't like plan at all. We just want
pick a topic and rock and roll.
Yeah, we want the guest to kind of drive it. But we'll probably talk. But we're gonna look at probably Lovecraft Country a little bit. We're gonna look at
nice.
Like for horrorcore hip hop.
When does that air?
Next year.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we're gonna look at like stuff like Gravediggers and like some of Ghetto Boys' music. Just the fact that there's always people are talking about like, oh, this black horror moment. There's always been black horror. It's always been popular in black communities. It's just it's always been there, and it's always pretty much been enjoyable. So we're gonna talk about that and probably that documentary Horror Noir, which is about all that shit.
And then I heard y'all were talking about in the future you're going to have an episode where you guys are going to do Poltergeist, and also Child's Play, new Child's Play when y'all get around to doing that.
Yeah, we're doing new Child's Play in the context of the Internet of Things and how creepy surveillance is through apps and whatnot. And so my little high horse here, don't use that fucking stupid face app to age yourself.
See, I got it, I did it. And then I started, literally, as I posted it, I started getting news on my feed about how it's dumb to use it.
Well, did you see the terms of service?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've deleted the app, but...
they already captured your face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You already
of course,
did it.
But, I mean, anyone that interested, I'm assuming that the surveillance state has already thoroughly gotten everything from Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're for sure watching you. Like, the book to read is The Age of Surveillance Capitalism by Shoshana Zuboff. It's 700 pages of just total dystopian craziness. To me, it's like anybody who's railing against capitalism right now, man, like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, raise your Marxist flag, but you're on fucking 1.0. The 2.0 shit is going to crush your fucking Che Guevara t-shirt into dust. It's just not, you're just not going to be able to stop it. But, yeah, this shit's just super interesting. And the idea that, like Child's Play is always better than it needs to be. Like, each, like, I mean, maybe not the second one, but most of them are just so much smarter than they need to be, and this one seems to be the same. And,
the Seed of Chucky is like one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Out of that whole thing. It feels like, oh, God, it's shit. I'm like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's fucking great, dude.
For Poltergeist, we have this drag queen named Peaches Christ coming back on, and she's
Nice.
she does like kind of like an Elvira horror host thing in San Francisco.
She did the episode of Rocky Horror with you guys, right?
Yeah. And
okay.
like she was like our biggest bump in fans was from her. Like she was like we picked up like I would say a quarter of our listeners from that episode.
Wow.
That's cool, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of having guests.
Yeah.
Have you guys done Midsummer yet?
No, I just haven't had a chance to go see it.
Okay. I'm just curious. I haven't seen it yet either.
In my mind, it's a scary version of the very end of the 40-Year-Old Virgin when they're all dancing around.
Well played.
I'm sorry, that just played in my mind. So,
It's very visual.
well, as always, look, we appreciate you coming on, Chad, and do yourselves a favor, check out Chad's excellent podcast with his partner Mark Kate.
Highly bingeable.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's called Scary Thoughts. What is it? Philosophy, horror, culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
if you're, we've decided to change up our Instagram a little bit, so now we're featuring my dog wearing horror movie costumes instead of doing like more highbrow shit, which nobody fucking cared about at all. I put my dog on there with a Chucky costume and get like 70 likes. It's like, okay, sure, this is the future.
Oh, yeah. Sadly.
Unfortunately.
and not unfortunate about it. Look, anything that gets you clicks. Look, if out of 70, if you draw 5 of those people to your show, fucking did good. So, awesome. All right, well, look, we appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to jump over to our Facebook group. You can join over there and send us the request. We'll add you on. You can comment on the stupid shit that we post throughout the week. Also, make sure to subscribe over on iTunes. You can also catch us on YouTube. Also, when you're on iTunes, please leave us a review. Write a review. That would be extremely helpful. It pushes us up the ranks. Thanks for listening. End scene.